Good morning.
Hello.
Morning. How are we?
Thank you.
Radiant.
All good. So we're good to discuss the payment for exceptional services.
Yeah, let's go.
Exciting times.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go. Yeah. Cool. So, my direct report, Jens, he's on a 2-year graduate program, and he's doing really well. Bright, upcoming talent. He's very kind of self-directive, uses his initiative quite a lot. So he was put in the Huddersfield site in the procurement team, so he was responsible for dealing with some of the small suppliers, maximum of £5,000 orders. So he's responsible for buying stationery and printing, etc. So really motivating, he's really motivated at the moment. So what he noticed was that we were using different suppliers at different sites. So he used his initiative, contacted some of the bigger suppliers and negotiated some discounts for us. And actually, when I say some discounts, he's gone off and negotiated, and our projected saving is £150,000 for next year, which is quite a lot. Great stuff.
Yeah.
Which is really good, especially at this time where we're trying to drive down the costs and profits are quite low at the moment. So I thought that was a really good thing that he'd done. Like I say, really motivated at the moment. Asked him what we can do to motivate him, and he said nothing. You can only demotivate me, which is good. But I think he's got a bit of learning to do because he did have those conversations with the supplier on his own, which is a good thing. But I think I would have liked it if he'd consulted me. So he's taken on that feedback on board. So I think based on what others we have, I think he definitely is a contender for a payout. Depending on what the others have done, I'd be really interested.
Sounds like he's done some great things, and if I'm hearing right, you're largely positive with this chap, and he's done a great job. So obviously huge savings, so that's brilliant for staff, for everyone. We've all got the objectives for next year. From a values point of view, sounds like stepping outside of it every now and again, perhaps not where you would like him to be. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's only 21, so there's some development. It's probably his first or second job. So I think we need to help him and kind of hone in that talent. For the long run, it'd be really useful for us.
So you feel that the future's bright?
Absolutely.
Great results,
Yeah.
but not ticking every box?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think
that's useful, thank you.
the real positives there are he has taken initiative, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he literally has gone, right, I'm not getting savings here, I'm going to think outside of the box, and you know, that type of approach of doing something outside of the norm is really encouraging.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that only stands well for the future for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
You also mentioned that actually he went and spoke to suppliers directly, and actually although he's gone and achieved 150,000, he thought actually to involve you. How did you take that feedback?
Yeah, I think he was okay. He is empathetic, but I recognise from my side of things that there's things that I need to work on with him. So he just needs that support because he is quite young, he's quite ambitious, but it worked well in this situation. He might have needed more support in a different type of scenario.
For me, it's pleasing to hear you're on top of it because we all know the challenge. We're all trying to reduce things, but you correctly identified that in this case he's done a great job, saved a lot of money. But actually, one of the risks the business might going out and negotiating with the supplier by themselves might have a catastrophic effect. But actually, this time it's worked, so let's give him some praise. But it's great to hear you're on top of that.
Absolutely.
And just so I'm clear there, is he actually open to receiving, not criticism, but direct feedback, i.e. for your involvement next time, please include me? Was he open to that?
I think there's work to be done here because he negotiated such a big discount. He knows that.
Okay.
So he has got a little bit of arrogance about it. So I think we need to work with him to work on the softer skills, definitely. So he needs that from us.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a good start.
Yeah.
Do we hear from yourself?
Yes, I've got Mike Turner, who's been in the business for 8 years. Last year he had 3 months off work because he broke his leg.
Ouch.
But when he came back, he absolutely hit it with a storm. So the business was in a position where we are getting 50% increase in complaints. He spent some time in understanding what the root causes are. It's not his normal day job. So it's gone above and beyond to go and find some root causes and find out where we can increase the haulage of the logistics side of things. He's spent some of his time working weekends and extra hours, even without any payment. So he's definitely made the effort. He's seen as an expert in that field, even though it's not his job role. So he's gone above and beyond what he needs to do in order to make sure the business is in a good position. And what he's done is also a risk customer who's 20% of our business. He's ensured that he's improved their position because there was a risk that the business might lose 20% of the overall business. So he's definitely gone out of his way, but there is no overtime at the moment, so he's not getting any additional payments. He's worked additional hours, put the efforts in, and even though it's not his field, he's got in and sort of put the effort in.
Thanks for the data. A couple of points that I'll just dig into if I can.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's broken. It's like nothing he can do about that. Obviously, that could have had quite a big impact. What has he done to sort of, make sure the team around him are upskilled and could take over from such an absence? It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I'm not throwing any daggers at him for that. That's the way it goes sometimes. But obviously, it could have had an impact on us. Do you feel that he's done a good enough job in upskilling the team around him to make sure that should he be off for any period of time?
I think there's definitely that part where transfer of knowledge needs to happen because it's not in the department or area that he works in. So he's gone above and beyond to support that, and we as a business need to also think about how can we share that knowledge so that actually we're not getting somebody else from a different area to be doing that and doing extra hours.
Yeah.
Because there's terms of working smarter or working harder. So effort-wise, he's definitely put the effort in to solve a position, but actually working smarter would be to transfer his knowledge to other areas and share his knowledge, because he is the single point of failure at the moment, and although he's seen as an expert from before, it's not his normal role. So
Yeah.
I think there is certainly expectation that we should be rewarding him an amount to be agreed. I think he will appreciate that as being recognised and given a figure to say actually he's not getting any overtime, but he's gone above and beyond. So definitely there's a case for us to put forward a good sum. I was looking around the 7,000 to the 5,000 sort of bracket, which I think would definitely engage him. As somebody who's an expert in the field, has been there for a while, I think we need to retain him within the business because we need to share that knowledge and sort of take what we've got already.
What sorts of hours would you say you've been putting in on average week? Just to get an idea.
Well, we're working on average 40 hours a week. He's probably putting about 55 hours a week.
It's quite significant.
Yeah.
Has he mentioned, sorry John.
That's okay, go ahead.
Has he mentioned anything about not being paid for the overtime that he's done or anything like that?
So initially he mentioned, asked about the overtime, but there was no overtime available, but he didn't stop him from going and doing the work anyway. So he saw it for the best for the business.
So if I'm hearing right, so he seems like quite a motivated guy who wants to do a good job. So
yeah, and I think somebody who's definitely missed, a part of the year through his broken leg. He's also trying to sort of make him, what else can I do? So he's doing extra to sort of make up for that, which isn't expected, but that's his normal nature to come in and do that.
And by hearing what you're saying there, do you think he feels like he needs to make up the time that he was off?
It feels like his self-motivation is from his inner self is brought that out.
from what it sounds like he needs more support than financial rewards. What does everyone else think?
Good point. I think for me, the other outstanding bit to that, and perhaps it does dovetail together, is it because, is he recognising he's the single point of failure? Or is he quite, if you're not recognising you're a single point of failure, you're not going to accept any other help.
Yeah.
That would be my take on that, but I'd be welcome to your thoughts.
I think it's a great debate point because I think in line with all of our objectives for next year in driving down costs, we know about the redundancies we'd like to touch on with some areas in my part that we've been looking at. But it's not just about paying people for doing overall. We need to see efficiencies within the business.
Yeah.
So I guess it's down to you, Ali, to give us a firmer update, I guess, on whether you think his efforts and morals and values override the fact that he might actually be inefficient and we need to probably invest more time with him.
Yeah, I think the bit that really stands out for me is that he's gone above and beyond, and he's gone and done root cause analysis on areas which is not his.
Yeah.
So actually we as a business need to take some control and say actually this guy's gone and done some root cause analysis on an area that's not his. How do we ensure that the business is a bit more secure? Is reducing the increase of complaints, because we have 50% more complaints, and he's also solving a problem where a customer, which makes up 20% of our profit,
Yep.
was at risk. So it's solved a big part of the business. Yes, I understand there is
Okay.
sharing that knowledge part, but I think we as a business also take responsibility. He's taking control of that.
Okay, well, I think we're all in agreement that he's showing some good signs, isn't
Yeah.
it? Someone we want to have
I
on
think just
board.
before we move on, there's one thing that I want to just highlight that I want us to just keep in mind for when we come to the end of the discussion is a risk. So the risk with something like that from previous experience could be that we're financially rewarding someone who is a potential single point of failure and not necessarily expecting that payment. So, but if we make that payment and financially reward them, then it could
An expectation.
become an expectation, or they could say, actually, I'm going to keep it all to myself because no one else can do it, and then maybe next time I'll get a financial reward again. So I just want us to keep that in mind. And we don't have to come to a decision on that, but I
Very
think,
valid point.
yeah.
What's the impact of us not giving him the reward he might be expecting? What's the impact of us? But clearly the risk there, because he's obviously a talented guy, knows a lot of stuff in other areas as well. What's the real impact?
I think
of
the
us?
impact that we will have is actually this person won't make more effort in other areas of the business. He's reaching out outside of his own area to support others, so that's the risk, that he won't make more effort to support the business overall.
Okay.
I think rewarding somebody for doing something above and beyond is definitely something that we should consider.
Yeah.
But actually we need to think about as a structure, how do we
Okay.
become better?
There's a real balance and seesaw
Yeah.
effect with this particular person. So I think let's press pause there for now. Let's hear
Yeah.
the rest, and we'll come back and.
Yeah, agreed.
Serena.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to go. So Richard Baker has been in my team for years, and he's actually been at our company for over 20 years. So he's a really dedicated individual. I think he should be rewarded at the top end of the scale, and the reasons for that are because, say, his dedication to us for 20 years shouldn't go unnoticed. He's always achieved in his role, and by achieving in his role, he does it in a quiet way. He doesn't do it in a, I've achieved, I'm going to ring all the bells. He's a very understated gentleman.
Is he a
Quite-
safe, would you say he's a safe plodder or a safe pair of hands? How would you summarise
Very
it?
safe pair of hands, but an achieving pair of
Yeah.
hands.
Okay.
And he's responded to our core values and our objectives. So he's also very quietly gone about and achieved in those areas as well.
Consistently.
Consistently.
Yeah.
And if you want, I can just refer to some of my notes of some of the good bits that he's done here. So for me, I feel concerned if we don't reward Richard, that basically his energy and his input will reduce, because a bit like Ali's gentleman, he's literally given so much outside of his working hours, and what he's done is fostered links with the external community, which is really one of our key areas. And by doing that, in his own time, he's visited 35 schools.
Yeah, okay.
He's also came up with this idea all on his own. So by doing that, him and his son decided that they should reach out to the community, and they put this whole workshop together. And not only have they done that as sort of like a family one-man band, they've included other members of our business. There's 20 employees there that they've got now working on going out to schools and presenting at these workshops.
Sounds like Richard's had a massive impact, and I think definitely one contender in the impact that he's had, and the fact that he's been with the company for over 20 years. Definitely one to keep.
Well, it's time for the goal watching too.
I also think though what's really important here is that we want young talent to come into our business,
Yeah,
and he is going out to those schools.
yeah.
And by going out to those schools, he's talking to them and engaging them about business.
Yeah.
And they're going to think of us as a real credible somewhere to come to work to within our local area.
It's great to know we've got someone with the business for 20 years that's still got it, still got that passion, still
Still
doing things
trying.
over the road, and that's just great to see, because we don't have that across the business. Are there any challenges we need to be aware of? Anything that he's got in his locker that we need to work on?
No, I don't think so. For me, what his one failing, if you want to say that, is because he just hasn't shouted about all of his good work. So he just very quietly goes about it.
So if I could summarise on what you were saying, so Richard seems to be somebody who's a role model, and actually, if it's a behaviour that we want to carry on through the sort of the younger generation, the newer generation, somebody who could be ideal to be mirroring,
Absolutely.
and also he's gone out there and improved the reputation of the business by going out to the community overall. So it doesn't seem like there's a risk of flight with Richard because he's been there for so long, and I think he's comfortable where he is as well. Do you think a sum would be sufficient, or does it need to be the top sum?
For me, because he has no expectation, it would be either the top, the 10,000 or the 7,000. We don't stand, I'm not concerned that we're at risk of losing him. I think certainly if we start to, embrace and discuss with him, he will then start to feel, he will then start to realise all of his great achievements, and then he might want some recognition because he's a very quiet, proud man. But absolutely, he is worth one of the top values.
And from what I'm hearing, it doesn't seem like it then will become an expectation. He's someone who will really appreciate the reward that he's given, but then will kind of move on and carry on doing a cracking job that he sounds like he's doing.
Absolutely.
Good.
Very good.
Over to you.
Okay, so Didier. Some of you don't know Didier, so I'll probably just try and give you a bit
Sounds
of...
French.
Yes, well, Francois agreed to his secondment 3 years ago, and it was a blessing in disguise. He's been on a build, implementing many things. We know customer service was not in a great space a few years ago. He has done wonders, as we know. So he's in his 3rd year now. He's been an absolute whirlwind to customer services. What he's achieved in a short period of time has just been phenomenal, and really lucky to have him in the team. I've got some things that I'll come on to later that I've got some concerns over, making sure we get this right for Didier. And of course, everyone seems to be performing well, but just want your views on what you hear and see today. So Didier is really ambitious. He's come in, he's completely focused on doing one thing, which is making sure everyone in the team feels great, the culture's great. Everyone's aware of the fact we need to drive down things, but he's managed somehow to reduce the number of complaints that we get within customer service. He has absolutely reduced some, the internal standards and external standards have completely changed. He's remapped that completely, and that's been received well by both staff and customers through the surveys month on month and month. He's introduced his own new measures of performance. What was crucial in this particular process, he didn't just introduce them himself. He went out to all of the key stakeholders, the people below him, and got some real feedback. He spent some time with the customers to understand what it was they wanted,
That's really powerful.
and implemented that, which is brilliant to see, and the results have been tremendous. He takes time to listen to people, and in addition to the fact that the scores of our customer service have gone like this, the time taken for us to now react to a customer complaint has been driven down by 50%. We are 50% quicker than what we were 2-3 years ago, which is really, really great. He has got a very, very high level of standards, which you might think that can not be received well by customer service team, especially when we're not paying them as much as other people in business. What's amazing is through the EMPS score results that he's got within his team feel like they've been listened to and taken on a journey. So even though the standards have been set significantly higher than what they've been in the past, they've been the voice of the people. So they've been moved forward, and everybody's on that journey with him. So he's not just achieved all this, he's taken the team with him. He's created some phenomenal efficiencies. And I spoke earlier about the fact that we've got some redundancy challenges ahead. We know we need to drive down costs. He is operating now, he feels he could do the job. We've got 100 people in customer service. He thinks by reducing it by 20 people, he can easily operate with the same efficiencies. And the fact we've got 20 people at 25 grand, that's £500,000 that he's proposing to save the business. And that's a big chunk of money.
Can I ask a question there then, John?
Yeah, sure.
Just obviously with those great sort of objectives for going forward, for him personally as well, do you think there's a danger to our business that if he's not here, is there someone else there that can pick up that mantra? Is the good work he's done invested and there, or is there that danger?
He's identified 5 people within the team that he sees as growing progression. So he's taken those people aside, started to cascade some of the challenges, got a mini project team to follow this through. So there's probably 3 strong people within that 5 that he's identified as potential leaders that can step up. And those people will be able to step up should he be away from the business as well. The risk, I guess, is that he has put a proposal together that shows us how the redundancy plan will work, but we've got to make sure, obviously, that feels well for business. But all in all, to summarise, I think he's considered everybody, he's got our company values at heart, and he's delivering some of the objectives that obviously we know is a challenge.
You mentioned earlier that you had some concerns. Do you want to just run us through before we come
Yeah,
to a
now this
decision?
is the real challenge. He's on the secondment, so his band is, because he was over in France, we know the French pay a little bit more than us over in the UK, he is not entitled to a pay rise. I mean, for me, the salary he's coming is more than justified for what he's doing and what he's doing for our business. The risk I've heard is he's out in the market. People want this guy. Clearly, he's very attractive in the market, and he could well be touted by other business. We need to keep this guy in business.
Is he expecting a sum more? Or is he looking for a reward?
He's such an easygoing guy. He knows the work that he's done. He knows his worth. He knows what he's achieved.
Yeah.
He knows where he's going. But the crucial bit is he's not being arrogant about it at all. But I think there's an expectancy that his hard work is accepted and acknowledged. And I think, frankly, we could pay him a huge chunk of money for what he's about to save us, not just in 1 year, but for every year. But I think I would certainly be pitching at that.
It sounds like there's no reason not to pay Didier.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my view.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's difficult when you're sat here listening to some other great people
Yeah.
in the business, particularly Serena. You're obviously very strong, you're very passionate about it. There's one or two things there for you that may that in your own words, so it makes it a little bit easier to justify, and you've got a great guy as well. But there's not a great deal that he's not done wrong here, and I think he's really solid.
In my view, I think Richard and Didier probably deserve the higher of the rewards, but it's just what kind of value they've delivered, and whether we pay Didier 10,000 or 7,000, and same for Richard as well.
I'm in the same boat, in agreement with you in that side. Listen to all the guys here.
Can I just ask one further question?
Sure you can.
You say he's on secondment.
Yeah.
When does that secondment end?
It ends in 6 months, so the actual head of customer service role is the one that he's going to be keen to secure going forward. So obviously we've not probably got anyone at that level at the moment, so there's the natural person to fit. That's a full-time role.
And I'm in agreement with you two. I think that sounds a really strong proposition. It sounds like he's come in, he's not just done a grand job in getting the survey scores, in a much better place,
Yeah.
but also has thought forward and gone, right, we need to, make savings in our business.
Yeah.
And he's absolutely taken that to the next step.
Yeah.
Already got a plan, already got succession planning in. He's ticked many of the boxes, hasn't he?
I feel that actually, just listen to both areas. If Didier is going to be is on the secondment looking to sort of go into the next role, that may be his next step to get even further salaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, my view would be that actually we look at Richard as the highest bracket, with Didier coming in second, because that recognition of actually he's getting a monetary value to say there's a recognition for it, and then actually when he's negotiating for a permanent role going forward, it shows that we value him.
Yeah, I think on balance, that's a really good point that you've made, because Richard's been with us for 20 odd years. That can be the reward for Richard for his loyalty as well as the good work that he's done. But then Didier's got the 7,000 payout, but then he's also got the potential to have a salary increase come end of the secondment.
Yeah, I think it's difficult, isn't it? We've got some real quality conversations going about some of the best people. It's difficult to get to a win-win scenario.
Because they all bring so much
We
to
can't-
this, don't they?
We can't necessarily. I do think that Didier's got a very strong point. On the basis that we've spoken about the potential future role, I think we're all fairly conclusive. We'll have to go out to market, but should he be successful in that, I think if we can allude to some sort of comments to put that forward, the promise of that, given that it's coming in a couple of months, I think 7,500 would be a reasonable offer.
Thank you, that's time. Well done.
Have you got a different one to me?
No.
There's like 4 million extra facts there.